Everyone, welcome to Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, full commission meeting. Today is Monday, June 23rd, at 4 o'clock. Welcome again. Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any conflicts of interest declarations at this time on any of the action items? Be noted. Not seeing any, we're going to move along. Looking for a motion and approval for the minutes of April 28th, 2025.
Make that motion.
Betsy, you have a second.
I'll second.
Wait, punch. Chris, sorry. Sorry for a second here. All right. Any questions, concerns during the minutes? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Go on to our transportation report. Lily,
Thank you.
what? Oh, geez, I forgot exactly. All right. I'm studying something for we do. It's not just all these things. I boy,
Gotta wait a little longer.
listen, you drove down here. You're not excited about transportation. You're in the wrong road, people.
This transportation report is worth waiting for, right? It's
Right.
please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Talk a little bit. You see the pictures up there. Our Harrisburg trip, I thought, was very, very successful. We talked earlier last month. Met with Secretary Carroll, Secretary Sager, DCED, and the PennDOT. And then there you are, showing a picture with President Pro Tem Ward outside of her office. Met with the Lieutenant Governor. Very, very, very helpful. So I appreciate the people, making the time, and Commissioner Fabia, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for organizing that, getting us down there. Next big trip probably we see on the agenda will be go to see our friends in DC, our congressional delegation and Senate delegation, as well as many other organizations that go to the Allegheny conferences, DC Fly, and that they've invited us to over the last couple of years, which I think is obviously very, very important. Also want to thank the chairman for the meeting we had up in Tanning last month, the long-range planning meeting that Lily will talk about during her presentation. It was very, very well attended and good information going back and forth between staff as well as the board, which was excellent. A couple big things coming up on kind of a regional and national scale. Many of you worked on the U.S. Steel, wanting to see that finally move forward, and it did. It just closed late last week, which is very important. The big investment that's going to keep those three plants here operating for the foreseeable future. Coming up in a couple of weeks, in 3 weeks, Senator McCormick is going to be hosting a roundtable and an event at Carnegie Mellon University dealing with AI, energy infrastructure, as well as workforce development. And he's announced that the president is coming as well, and will be there. And normally when presidents come to town, they come with big announcements. They like to make big announcements when they go to a certain place. And my understanding is that's going to be no different this time. So stay tuned. I know Sam DeMarco, the Western Pennsylvania director for Senator McCormick, will be reaching out and talking about as they put those plans together. We also had a big meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Jen Last will be talking about this, the Governor's Office of Transformation and Opportunity. Many of the planning directors, I know Byron was here, and many others in the room, talking about one of our favorite topics, permitting, as well as the time to connect to the power grid for some of our sites. That was a good discussion. We also made some event visits over the last month or so. Heartland Industries down in Fayette County is one of the big ones we did. It was really, really interesting to see one of the largest barge manufacturers in the country right here in our backyard, and some of the great things they're doing and some of the opportunities they have for jobs and economic growth. And then Commissioner McClure had many of us debating mine in Greene County to learn about some of the things that are going on there. We're still working with our friends at the NFL and the Steelers around the draft. I know, again, Jen can talk about that with some of the economic development opportunities for some of our businesses that will be participating in that. DJ, can we talk a little bit about broadband? And again, one of our favorite topics and some of the things that we've been working on there. And then the triennial review There's a training review that we had to do with the FDA over the last number of months. And I really want to thank our directors, Tiffany Cummings, Alyssa Sobian, Jen Liptak, Lily Gabreski, what they put together. And then their managers, Kristen Ball, Devin White, and Anthony Hickton. We got a really, really good grade out of that the FDA when they came here to make their visit, that, you know, we're putting everything in a proper perspective, and staff really needs to be thanked for the great work that they do along those lines. And again, you're going to see a very action-packed presentation from Lily, Jen, and DJ as we move forward. And that is all I have for my report, Mr. Chairman, unless somebody has any questions.
Thank you, Rich. Any questions for Rich's report? Not hearing any. Super excited. We move on to the next agenda item. Transportation, Lily.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I got a lot to get through. No one can say we're not busy here in transportation, so I'm going to try to go through this quickly, but also sufficiently so that I explain everything that we're working on. So, as Rich said, we're in the beginning of a long process involving our long-range plan update. We had that kickoff at Big and Tanning. Thank you, Chairman, for hosting us. That was just kind of a general overview for those of you that missed it on what we did last cycle, what we're looking to do this cycle, kind of get some takeaways. So that was really just the beginning. So this long-range plan will be presented to the Commission for adoption in June 2027. So we have a lot in store for that. If you have any questions about that workshop, or you would like to follow up on any points, please reach out. Right now in the background, we're working on identifying emerging forces and key trends, and we'll be coming back to the Commission with a report to share in late summer, early fall. And then Rich and I attended with the Fayette and Greene County Commissioners here and NOT's kickoff meeting for the State Route 21 study. This study will examine solutions to addressing safety concerns along the entire Route 21 corridor. I thought that was a really good meeting. Yeah, much needed, long time needed. So I think we're looking forward to that, seeing what comes from that. So just wanted to highlight that. And then as Rich said, we had our exit interview for FTA. Went well. This review addressed funding that covers our commute info program, as well as the funding that we provide to the TMA agencies in the region. Nearly concurrently with that process, we have been in the middle now of our federal highway, federal transit joint certification review process, and that covers pretty much everything not covered by FTA. So we've submitted all relevant documentation, and we'll be hosting the federal highway team for a site review on July 30th and 31st. So many of you probably remember, as part of that process, we hosted a meeting to discuss the FHWA review and the work we've been doing over the last 3 years. So we would love for you to attend, and we'll follow up once we have scheduled for that. And then finally, we're in the beginning of the 2027 TIP update process. So Ryan has been working closely with all the planning directors to get TIP project lists in order and schedule work group meetings. I think they're all scheduled at this point. Important to note here, because it's a bit confusing with the dates, the TIP will be presented for adoption in June of 2026, LRP June of 2027. They're both called 2027 because the TIP covers the fiscal year, but the long-range plan is produced that year. So a year apart, but same year. So then I want to go quickly over our competitive programs. This is open right now, 3 categories. We combine them into one application process, so we do the work for you. So you put in your application, we let you know which programs have qualified for, work with you to get the final application. And then please note that while we need to undertake this process now, so we're ready to use the funding, the current Transportation Act is due to expire on September 30th, 2026, and the ultimate availability of these funds is subject to the passing of the new bill. So this is always what happens when a transportation bill expires. It's not out of the ordinary. I just want to note that for everyone. Okay, so this is just a quick date. Applications are open. Ryan hosted a project delivery webinar that is posted on our website if you missed it or you want to review it. Pre-applications are due July 17th. We'll review them, provide back the full application for you, and then that's due September 15th. SPC staff and the evaluation committee will review, and they will be brought to commission in December. There's just another full view of this timeline, so you can see May through December, this process, selection committee meetings throughout. And then speaking of that committee, this is our selection committee. I believe Ryan is working on putting this together as we speak and working with these people and scheduling these meetings. So just want to note that The selection committee is there to guide it and make sure it's kind of going according to plan. But we worked hard to make this as data-driven as possible to make sure the projects we're choosing meet our performance targets that we're required federally to meet. So just important to know, we tried to make this as non-biased, data-driven as possible so we get good projects. All right, so next steps, again, this is what I went over, getting applications in. Let us know if you have any questions. We're working closely again with planning directors presenting at TTC about this. So please keep in touch if you have anything. Okay, any questions on any of that I just covered? Before I get into all the good voting stuff. Okay, moving right along. Okay, that should be at the end. I should go back. Oh, is it? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the 2025 Active Transportation Plan is an update to the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission's 2019 plan, and it was undertaken to address evolving trends and priorities related to active transportation and provide best practices for local governments seeking to advance local goals for active transportation. So Leanne Cheney, our active transportation coordinator, was the lead. Give a wave, Leanne. She's right there. She worked very, very hard on this. So this is presented as an interactive web application. We sent this out in advance of the meeting, so hopefully you all were able to review that. So I'm just going to go through with a high-level overview. And also wanted to note this was presented in full to the Transportation Technical Committee. They endorsed it, suggested it for approval to the Commission. Okay, so this is just an overview of the plan. The colored boxes correspond to stakeholder engagement, steering committee, or public engagement. You can see there was an extensive amount of all of these. Leanne and the consultant team presented at several of our technical meetings and panels and posted 4 specific public engagement opportunities across the region. Right, this is the plan summary. This is what you can see on the website, all the different categories. I'm going to just briefly go over them, but there's a lot of good info packed on that interactive tool. So encourage everyone to go in and kind of play around with it. The vision of this plan is that the ATP advances the regional vision identified in our long-range plan, which is a world-class, safe, and well-maintained integrated transportation system that provides mobility for all. There are 4 goals under that, and those are safety, connectivity, comfort, and sustainability. And then we also have 4 focus areas, key priorities to guide active transportation efforts over the next 5 years. These are regional trail coordination, funding, sidewalk maintenance and repairs, and model policy development. So this section of the update multimodal plans and policies focuses on adoption and implementation of multimodal policies at the local level. To accelerate this process, the updated plan highlights 7 plans or policies that have been adopted by municipalities across the region. These include Vision Zero, active transportation plans, complete streets, curbside management policies, construction zone policies, bicycle parking ordinances. You get the idea. So the ATP provides a roadmap to help local governments adopt and prioritize these policies. This is really meant to be a tool for our local municipalities to institute some of these in their jurisdictions. So this is the multimodal network analysis. So a series of analyses were conducted to access the experience of getting around the region by walking, biking, and using transit. These analyses measure multimodal connectivity, ease, and comfort. And these are some of the questions raised and supporting analyses completed to attempt to answer them. What are low stress areas? How can people access trail networks? And then data that was run to try to answer those questions. And these are just a couple of examples of those analyses. The first is measuring biking stress, which looks at how stressful it feels to bike on any given street. And the second is walking and rolling stress, or how perceived pedestrian stress is experienced on any given intersection. So you can use these analyses by accessing them online or downloading the full data set. And the following slides walk through examples of ways to integrate that data into planning work. So here's an example for prioritizing signal improvement. So you can look at the walking stress, see where there's minimum comfort, and then target those areas for pedestrian improvements like a crossing island or a leading pedestrian interval. And then here's an example of planning for a bicycle network. So you can see where there are critical gaps and high stress areas for bicyclists, and then target those corridors for infrastructure improvements that can increase comfort and safety. So again, the plan components are all linked on our website. They were sent out directly in advance of this meeting. Again, please use these. These are really designed to try to help our communities in this region improve active transportation and give them the tools and resources they need in order to do that. So, any questions? I know I went through that fast, but I have a lot to get through. So, okay. Hearing none, ask back to the chairman.
All right, thank you, Lily. We do have an action item here, and it's resolution 8-25 to adopt the active transportation plan promotion. Someone, you got a motion? I need a second.
Second, Kevin.
Thank you, Commissioner Bizzle. Any questions for Lily? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Moving along, agenda item 7. I would take it back over to Lily. There's a regional safety action.
Thank you. And if you do have any questions about any of these, you know where to find us. I can answer your general questions, or I can direct you to the people that can answer your really technical questions who I'm pointing out here in the room. So this is the Regional Safety Action Plan. A little background on this. This has traditionally been completed with consultant assistance, but when Nancy, right, sir? Mute everyone. When Nancy was brought on board this year, we felt she had the skill set and ability to complete this in-house. So on a very accelerated schedule, she completed this plan. This was a huge lift for both our safety team, her and Evan, and also our communications team. Just shout out to DJ and his team, since they helped with some of the content in this plan, including the video interviews that we're going to show. So again, this was presented to the TTC this month and recommended for commission adoption. So what can be done? From 2020 to 2024, almost 5,000 crashes ended in death or life-altering serious injury across our region. So this plan attempts to answer that question, respond to it. Working cooperatively with our member communities, our safety and operations planners, local and regional officials, as well as a wide array of safety advocates, we sought to understand and find solutions for safety challenges and trends. So I'm going to give you a high-level overview. Again, hope you were able to read it before this meeting. Can answer any technical questions kind of moving forward. So this plan calls for 10 calls of actions, which are listed here. You can see them. They're in the plan. I encourage you to check them out. Data analyses. Extensive data collection analyses were completed as part of this plan. We looked at crash data by mode of travel. So surviving a vehicle crash is tied to the mode of travel. We know that. People that walk or ride see a much higher risk of fatal and suspected serious injury crash outcomes. So the high injury network is a statistical framework that weights severity and mode by density across roadways. Nancy downloaded the 2020 to 2024 crash data from PennDOT into the sliding windows analysis that identifies crash density corridors by applying a half-mile moving window aggregation to the street network. In this approach, a virtual window is moved along each street in 1/10 of a mile increments, counting that number of crashes by severity and mode by each successive segment. So each crash is scored, creates 2 to 3 tiers, and that higher score indicates a high frequency of fatal and serious injury crashes. That's really what we're looking to address with this plan. So this process gives us our high injury network for the region. The plan also, at a broader level, contains a history of safety planning at SPC. It starts with the Vision Zero policy from the late 90s and then tracks major federal legislation, along with SPC's long-range plans, safety programs, all the way to our current work that we've done. So that's a really cool place to see all of this work in one location. Road safety audits are one of the federal proven safety countermeasures that SPC operations and safety planners have led the way for on mitigating roadway problem roadways. Hopefully a lot of you have seen these in your communities. This timeline only indicates what has been accomplished in the past 5 years. We wanted to call out here that SPC has conducted over 50 since the program was initiated. So that's a huge accomplishment, I think, for those guys. All right. And then this plan also contains a segment entitled Unsung Heroes. In a concerted effort to raise awareness of the impacts of tragic crashes, members of the steering committee and stakeholders submitted nominations for people who work to improve safety, but often stay under the radar. That's why we call them unsung heroes. We also received a testimony from a serious crash survivor who was taking his morning walk and was actually struck by a driver going 50 to 60 miles per hour after coming off a third shift in the mine. So a lot of difficulty on both sides there, and that was extremely powerful. So are you ready to play that video? All right, so we're gonna play this video that our communications team will just put together. Again, want to shout out to them because I think this was just very cool.
Some of the biggest risks that pedestrians, motorcyclists, and bicyclists face today are inattentive drivers, people that are driving faster than the speed limits posted.
Put your phones down. I constantly yell, head up, because they're so distracted with those cell phones.
I've been involved with bicycle safety for over 20 years now. They need to check their equipment. If they're riding on the streets, they need to know that they have to obey all the traffic laws. You're on a bicycle. Don't be distracted.
Going out on the roadway and seeing places where accidents have occurred and making safety suggestions and then coming back to see that they've been implemented really makes you feel like you've, increased the safety for pedestrians and people in the region.
I think another way to make communities safer, and your community safer especially, is to join your local biking and pedestrian advocacy organization or a community organization. Just talk with your neighbors and work with them to try to make your neighborhood better.
You got to get there safe first. Everybody wants to get there where they're going, but you have to slow down. We all share the same road. We're all responsible.
Just follow the rules. Follow the laws, and everyone would get to their destinations, whether you're walking or driving, safely.
Everyone has to do their part. Can't just be one person, can't just be me or my department out there preaching it. Everybody has to take their part and really listen to the message and pass it along.
I stress to everybody, whether you're walking or you're riding a bicycle or driving a car, to just pay attention as much as possible.
They don't understand. The motorist does not see you. They have to usually check on you. If you're a pedestrian, you're a bicyclist, look at that motorist, look at that driver that he sees you. They don't see you. They think they have the right of way to motorist, and they will drive right through.
Tell your loved ones that you care about them, that they buckle their seatbelt whenever they get in the car, and to slow down. Just by reducing speeds, you can save people's lives.
People care about this issue, and people are fighting to make it better.
Distracted drivers is always an issue. I think one way to combat a lot of this is public safety campaigns. We use social media as a big tool in Washington County. Look up our Facebook page, there's always something on there.
It's important to show that there are people who care, especially in the student realm in Oakland, that care about their communities and want to make them better.
Hey, this is Evan Shoss, and it's time for our region to get safe.
My name is Bob Fialk. I'm the Indiana County Sheriff, and it's time for our region to get safe.
My name is Sharice Daniels, and it's time for our region to get saved.
My name is Officer Clull of the University of Pittsburgh Police. It's time to get safe on these roads.
My name is Dan Harvey, and it's time for our region to get safe.
I'm Neil Cahill, and it's time for our region to get safe.
That, right? We got some skill in this house. Hit that. Everyone give it up for comms and our own celebrity. And then, okay, so yeah, that was just awesome. I can't thank the team enough for that. That's so great. And once we, hopefully vote to adopt this plan, we're gonna share. We have series featuring all the people you saw there, as well as some others that we're hoping to feature on social media. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, so moving right along, we have a safe system principles and wellness section. This is a section that highlights the safe systems approach, which is adopted by USDOT as the guiding paradigm to address roadway safety. So we can read all about that in the plan. And then the plan dives into elements such as bus speeding, vehicle body design, size, height, and weight has had an increased effect on vulnerable road user deaths and serious injury. So vulnerable road users include pedestrians, bicyclists, mobility users. But want to note that also in our case, we looked at motorcyclists, and we engaged a lot with some of the local motorcycle groups to make sure that their thoughts were included in this as well. Sorry, I wanted to highlight that. In this example, USDOT study found that the faster a vehicle is traveling, the higher the likelihood that a crash with a pedestrian will end fatally. So this is something we don't know. I don't think, about all the time when I'm driving, but when you're driving 30 miles an hour, it might feel slow. But, it makes a difference in terms of if there is an accident, what the outcome will be. And then, again, the plan dives into similar comparisons for all those other attributes I talked about: vehicle body design, size, height, weight. So as far as public engagement for this plan, altogether, there are over 460 in-person conversations, and the survey netted 284 responses. Nancy, Evan, Zach, and I, Rhonda, we went out to all the counties. We had public meetings in all the counties, tried to talk to people about their thoughts, and all of that was incorporated into this plan. Okay, so now moving into the county snapshots and crash data section. There's one of these for each county in the city of Pittsburgh. These evaluate each of those entities, starting with a snapshot of census estimates, followed by crash data by severity, mode, environmental factors, and behaviors. And all of this just sets the stage to better understand what creates the high injury network and the sampled solution with a proven safety measure. So looking at crash factors and behavior trends in each county allows us, in partnership with the county planners, to make targeted recommendations on potential improvements that could address these trends. And here you see the high injury network map for this county in this case, Westmoreland. So thank you, Westmoreland. And the top 10 roadways by mode and location that are of concern for targeting for safety improvements according to this plan. You'll also see a tool at the bottom called My Street, which is really neat. Nancy taught me about this. This is a federal DOT tool that can examine the experience of different road users and make suggested improvements to improve their safety on those roads. So it's really neat and helpful to planners. Okay, and then concluding this plan is an appendix, which includes a glossary, funding resources, guidance for implementation, and a table for tracking progress. The tables identify the leads that will champion implementation of the action, key partner organizations, a timeline to track implementation, and relative level of investment expected to implement each of these action items. SPC is committed to provide yearly reports once the previous year's crash data is available. This tracks progress towards our vision to reduce traffic deaths and serious injuries. So that's the plan. Are there any questions? Thanks.
So last year, this time, I did not have these in my hands. Now I've been in Pittsburgh for 2 months at this point, because I was coming to work down at Avenue. That pickup truck pulled out in front of me going up the hill. And I did it at about 20, 45 miles an hour. I had 11 fractures, could not lift more than a pound for 2 weeks. Couldn't work for 4 months. He was going to work. I was going to work. He just didn't see it. There was not a signalized intersection that stopped the light before. It turns out this intersection was on the city's list of most dangerous intersections in that area. And Domi was actually out there the next day with Bike Pittsburgh assessing the intersection for improvements to make it safer. I bring that up because I'm putting aside my thoughts about some of the responses about on the distraction side from the folks that you have up there. And I would have loved to have heard this gentleman who had walked home and been hit. Looking at the data in here, what jumps off the pages on every single count is highest incidences over and over again are non-intersections, single vehicle off the way, and a result of aggressive driving. I don't see those as things that education alone are going. I'm someone who thinks that education, while absolutely crucial, is not necessarily going to change behavior in the long run here. Instruction and design are what change what happens here. The year was, by the way, we're being aggressive drivers. So I actually am not angry at the person. Well, right. Actually, I'm terrible. I can't imagine. We're coming up on a tip. We have how many hundreds of millions of dollars of capital projects on? How does this influence the way that these projects are being engineered and designed so that we are minimizing this going forward? Because I feel as though with the federal dollars and the state dollars compelling those, we have a responsibility to do something about this. If every single county is showing up this way, then running on road, things happening where you're not coming through an intersection, and aggressive driving. Aggressive driving often is just like blows my mind. Like the closest after that is speeding related at 28%. So what are we doing to reassess our projects for safety of all?
So great point, and thank you for sharing that. Because I think it's really powerful. So a couple different things, just right off the bat, we've made it a higher priority to address safety in our competitive programs. So when we score our competitive programs, we've upped safety as a factor to try to specifically address making sure that projects that come to us are making safety improvements on roadways. So that's one way. Another thing that we've spent a lot of time on is going after HSIP dollars at the state level. So that's something where we realized kind of internally and through our last certification review that a lot of our partners needed assistance to go after those dollars. So our team has been holding, I don't know if they're called quarterly meetings to try to push the infrastructure owners like the city and Allegheny County to put forward projects that will make an impact for safety and also that are good competitive projects. So stepping back a little bit there for everyone's knowledge, the HSIP program is a safety funding line item that is determined at the state level. So the state allocates the money to the region through that. Because we didn't meet our safety targets for the last year, there's a rule that 15% of that money specifically has to be spent on vulnerable road user targeted projects, so bike and pedestrian projects. So trying to make sure that our region is competitive for those funds and has good projects up for those funds is a huge priority for us. In terms of other regards, I mean, I know what you're saying in terms of education, but I think our role, since we're not the infrastructure owners, is to try to provide resources regarding what safer improvements would be, like what they can do in the case of that my tool I talked about, looking at what the experience of someone is on a street and then tying that to those safe systems, solutions. So to your point, if the city's out there looking at an intersection, using the data, looking at who's impacted that intersection, and then coming up with solutions that would specifically address that human that is dealing with the problem. So I think just our job is to really try to present this in an accessible way that people can read, can understand, and can take back to their communities, and then look at those high risk locations, high entry network locations, and try to adopt those tools to improve them. But I mean, that's what our role is. And we try to do that as much as we can to work with all those partners and get good projects out of it. But it's challenging. I mean, dollars are limited, and we got to make sure that we're going after what we can and using the best use of those dollars we can. So
I understand the challenges with it. And I understand that on the staff side, there's only so far that can go with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's education of us. There's education of us of what's possible with existing funds. And what could be what's possible maybe happen with existing projects. But we as a commission also approve this tip, right? And if vulnerable road user safety is a priority for us as we're going through this process, doesn't the Department of Transportation have to respond to that, especially given not just at the MPO level, but at the state level, we have this issue?
I mean, I think it's a shared responsibility. I mean, every county and the city chooses what projects they want to put forward for funding. So I think the importance is that, we put out how important these principles are and give them the tools, and then they can make those choices.
I would like us to have the opportunity to evaluate these through that lens, whether it's formula or discretionary.
Yeah, I mean, they do during the tip update process. They look at safety as a factor, its locations. So I mean, it's important, I think, as much as we can provide in terms of tools. But again, it really comes down to the infrastructure owners. Like, you can give them, you all as counties that own roadways, or PennDOT or the city of Pittsburgh, we can give them all the information, but it's a partnership to come up with a final plus. You guys happy to or Evan or
I mean, we are working pretty closely with the city to encourage that along the HSIP application. They just met with them just last week about a project that they want to get off the ground using the HSIP fund. So we were the ones that initiated that by reaching out to them. We've done the same outreach to the county in trying to increase the applications that we get from those partners for safety.
Okay, and what about the districts?
Well, obviously, because they're already tied in with the process involved with the central office. So most of our HSIP funds are district projects.
And are there any other questions or are we ready to move forward with about? Hearing none, I'll pass it to you, Chairman.
Any other questions? Hi, Chair. So excited about it. All right. Well, thank you, Nancy, for all your hard work on this project and bringing it in-house, and Lily and tech support on the video as well. We are looking for a motion to adopt resolution 9-25, the regional safety action plan. And this option. Chris, thank you. Looking for a second. Second, Commissioner Shea, thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
Question. How often does this, how often is this iterate? This is an annual? So this is the last update of this was in 2020. So we don't have to do this. We just do this because we believe that it's important and value to the region we're on. Federally mandated to. So this was last done in 2020, 2025. We're looking at kind of 5-year updates, but that's why part of what I flagged here is that we've committed to do annual kind of relooks at it with the updated data because we have a delay in when we receive the data. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. No additional questions. All those in favor to approve the plan, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, back to Lily for resolution 10-25 to amend the Unified Planning Work Program.
This one's very short. So basically, SPC applied for and received supplemental state funding to update our freight plan. We are in dire need of this. I think our last update was in 2016. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But this means that we are receiving dollars to do additional planning work other than what's laid out in our 4 UPWP document. So MPOs across the state submit ideas for planning projects, and then those are considered for a supplemental award out of the state pot. They need to be consistent with what we're doing. There needs to be a need for them, but then we can ask for this small amount of additional support. So again, due to our limited funding and splat for the next few years, we would really struggle to update our freight plan without this. We need some, significant technical support in order to look at all these networks. We have one freight manager on staff and she's fantastic, but it's a heavy lift for one person. So we are very appreciative to PennDOT for this. And the long and short of all of that is in order to use this supplemental planning money, we need to update our UPWP and add the freight planning effort. So this is a resolution to amend the UPWP to add that freight planning. Come to you, Chairman.
Thank you. What was there dollars on that school?
Yeah, it's in the notes. I think it's just under 200,000. It's 10.
All right. So after Lily's explanation, looking for a motion on resolution 10-25 to amend it, particularly for the phrase part of it's this Unified Planning Work Program.
I make that.
Thank you, Betsy. Looking for a second? Second, Vince. Any additional questions for Lily? Hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. You're off the hook.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Again, if you have any questions about any of these, you know where to find me. We have a fantastic team, always looking to help all you guys out. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation. Moving on to agenda item 9, strategic initiative. DJ.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sorry.
Shot it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, everybody. I thought I was busy. I'm not as busy as Logan County. I'll get through all this as quick as I can. Just a couple of things to flag for you. First is a pretty significant update to the broadband program. I just want to start by saying the situation is changing rapidly here. Something that has been announced since we've been sitting in this meeting. So it's kind of hot off the presses here, but the NTIA has not yet
appointed. The Senate has not confirmed the new head of the NTIA. So, but we thought that was going to be the point at which they issued new broadband guidance. It is not. They did it anyway. So on June 6th, the NTIA put out a pretty detailed memo that revises the BEAD program. The program is not going away. It still continues, which is what we expected. I won't go through everything here, but they did remove a whole bunch of different requirements that were part of the initial BEAD guidance. They also, probably most significantly, are now taking a tech neutral approach. So what that means is that before the program prioritized end-to-end fiber optic, now any technology that meets the goals is allowed. So most commonly in most situations in our region, that's going to meet satellite internet as well. So because they changed these programs, and they've also rescinded some prior memos. I can get the full document if you want to read it, but these are the main points. Because they changed all these, the state then, through the Pennsylvania Broadband Development Authority, issued a memo on June 13th, essentially saying all of the applications for BEAD funding are deferred. They're not rejected, they're just deferred. And there's a new round two established by the federal memo. It's called the benefit of the bargain round. And essentially that is where they're going to have these new technologies come into play. So any applicant who submitted an application to the PPDA, their application is going to be held. It'll be rescored using the updated scoring rubric. And applicants do have the opportunity to revise their applications. And this benefit of the bargain round means that anyone who didn't qualify before, again, the example of satellite internet providers, is now able to put applications in to receive BEAD funding. The final proposal for Pennsylvania has to be submitted to the NTIA by PBDA within 90 days. Now, I'm assuming that means 90 days from June 6th, but it didn't actually say in either memo. So, but that is my best assumption at this point. So what that means is that there is going to be a delay. There may be some changes, but there is no significant, the money is still coming to us, which is the thing I want to hammer home to everybody. And PBDA is still working through a lot of this. They just had the technical subcommittee meeting that I sit on last week. And it was very clear that they are working very diligently on this, but there are still some questions that are waiting to get answered, that they're going to move as quickly as they possibly can. So that's where we are. I'll certainly keep you posted as things progress. Just a couple other things. I have to mention that the Bay Mine tour. I want to thank Commissioner Clark for having me down there. It was the coolest. I've done a lot of site visits. This was by far the coolest. If you want to hear about it, I will happily talk to you for an hour or two about it at some point. But that was really exciting. That picture is low quality because the lighting is not that great in a mine, as you can imagine. But we had a fantastic stream as west of wind, and you can't imagine what it's like until you've done it. So it's very cool. The other thing I'll want to mention, they show that I highlight, is the public participation panel orientations. So Rhonda Craig, our public involvement coordinator, has been in a ton of your communities already over the course of the past few months. We have quite a few more that we're going to do over the summer and fall. The idea here is to get all of your public participation panel members to have a better frame of reference when they're bringing feedback to SPC by actually educating them on what their role can be if they choose to make it. So we've done Butler, Washington, Green, Westmoreland, Armstrong, and Fayette so far. Beaver is tomorrow, I believe, Wednesday. And so far, we've had 122 participants. We've gotten a lot of great public feedback from those people. We're asking them to take surveys. So again, congrats to Rhonda for getting those together. I want to thank Lily and Ryan and their team for making the trip with her to all of those meetings as well. A couple other quick things for you. As Rich mentioned, Harrisburg trip was a great success. Thank you to the commissioners for that attended for that. On the budget side, I will say to you with absolute certainty that the budget process is ongoing. Several bills have passed in one chamber, maybe not the other one. And we've heard a lot of discussion about transit and road and bridge funding being discussed together. We're going to have one, we should have the other. That ends the certainty of what I can tell you right now. The budget deadline is June 30th. Sometimes the budget is passed by June 30th. Yeah, that's all I can tell you right now with absolute certainty anyway. And I'll just flag again, county commissioners, the DC Flying with the LE conference is coming up. It's a really great opportunity to get in front of not only elected officials, but some of their policymaking staff down in Washington. So if you can join us for that. And with that, that's all I got.
Can I just add one thing on the budget? Sorry. Please continue to advocate for your priorities. Just because we are approaching June 30th does not mean anything is finalized yet, as DJ said. So please continue to talk to your state reps, your state senators, and do what you can for your priorities.
I was not. I was trying really hard not to look at Laura during. Thank you.
Any questions for DJ? He's being a little modest. I was in the fine with him in the same cart. And there's several commissioners in this room that's mine card broke down. You know who they are. DJ did rescue them. I don't know. Geez, that's how I remember it happening. But it was, Bessie, thank you for hosting. It was a pretty cool event. I think the commissioners here would, that are here and participated would agree. So able to do it again.
I'd like to have it again. And I'll tell you that that's my second mine tour, and that's the second time that we had a breakdown in the car. They told me that it rarely happens, but usually when there's a tour, it happens. So we were consistent.
Betsy's son works in that mine as well. We got the opportunity to meet him. So it was a really, really cool experience. So I have a new appreciation. I always have, but a greater appreciation, we'll say, for coal miners. All right.
Jen, economic quality.
It's going to be probably as exciting as transportation, but first and foremost, just hello, everybody. Good to see everybody. Going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen over the next 2 months for us here in workforce and economic development. So we're still dealing like everybody else with federal funding uncertainty, right? We are having those conversations with our state funders and trying to figure out how we can advocate for the programs like PrEP, Engage, and others. Business Finance is doing a great job. We're about to start our next fiscal year. We already have over $2 million in loans in the pipeline. So this is going to be a very, very busy year. Your export team right now is actually in New York City at the Fancy Food Show. So you'll see pictures of that in August. Export, again, changes to procurement grants. We're just trying to really stay abreast of what's going on federally and to see how it impacts our businesses here locally. Our Water Resource Center is doing a great job with the Chartiers Creek project. They're working with the Army Corps on a few projects. And really just the next 30 to 60 days is all about grant closeout for my team and a lot of federal reporting. And waiting to find out again, request for proposal for DCED's PrEP and Engage program, which a lot of your county partners partner with us on, but we'll hopefully have that information when the budget is finalized. So more to come on that. And then ARC wise, your grant season is just starting to kick off. And I'm going to hand this over to Faith for 2 slides to talk to you about ARC. All right. Hi, I'm Faith Collins. You haven't gotten enough emails from me with a ton of attachments, no grants. So I'm the community capacity coordinator here at SPC. And I provide technical assistance on ARC grants, Appalachian Regional Commission grants, including area development, which has been announced this year. There have been several other grants that have yet to be announced. This has been a weird year for federal funding. I don't think I need to tell anybody in the room that right now. Area development does have non-construction and construction funding available. If you have a potential idea, if you're not sure if your project is construction or not construction, please let me know. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. So it's funding available for implementation, but there are planning grant dollars available as well. The time to talk to me would be now rather than the due date, which is July 28th. Please reach out to me now. This would be a good time would be now. Additionally, we have local access road funding. Whereas area development tends to be on a rolling deadline, local access road is once a year. That's $5 million available for the entire state. So local access road will not be available until next year. Great, but it is open now. So we are the regional point of contact. We are the ones that are submitting letters of intent, also known as executive summaries. If you need a template for that, please let me know. We review and submit a big batch in August. I set the due date for July 28th just to get my act together. Batch must be secured at time of submission. because area development is so competitive. It's been the case for the last 2 years. That's ruled not by us, but by the Department of Community and Economic Development, who is the state and for the Appalachian Regional Commission here in Pennsylvania. Approval and grant process timeline, we're looking at the start date of spring 2026. Again, match needs to be secured on that July 28th date. In addition to your executive summary for construction projects, you will need some additional information. Please reach out to me for templates and more information. If you'd like me to talk this fast, I would be happy to do that for you.
Okay, so what we're looking like for 25-26, projects that you've heard about, and I just need a quick update on Build Back Better. Build Back Better is still ongoing. We've got 15 months remaining. We've trained thousands of people. We're in the process of trying to do some really detailed data collection. We're working to build capacity. You know, we're possibly going to be impacted by changes to ARC, to EDA, and so we're trying to find additional sources of funding to cover that. You know, to be blunt, that is a huge factor. My entire team is funded by state and federal grants, and so you know, it's an odd time, but we're going to plug through. We're going to see what we can do to secure additional dollars. We're working to communicate this with our state and federal legislators on the local development district and economic development district activities. And then workforce-wise, we're meeting with industry. We want to find out what's going on. What are their needs? Are there programs that aren't in place that we could maybe create something, put something in place? Working with our educational partners, we're connecting to our workforce investment boards, career links, and support programs, and just brainstorming on regional data. What are we missing? What do folks need to have to make their educated decisions on future planning activities? So what we love to do is connecting stakeholders. Just as Richard mentioned, we had a visit from the Office of Transformation and Opportunity come and visit us a couple weeks ago. We had the 10 county planning directors and their EDO partners, and it was just an opportunity to connect with Office of Transformation and Opportunity. They want to hear what's working, but more importantly, what's not working, right? And so permitting, site selection, what are the hurdles to business growth here in Pennsylvania? Some of the topics that came up is that, you know, other states can write checks that we can't, right? Or the amount of dollars that are able to be put up front, we just can't do. So how can we be as competitive as possible? And so if need be, this is offered. If you all would like to get in front of these folks, they have absolutely offered up another opportunity to have a meeting for elected officials if needed. But it was a great day, and I can't thank everybody for coming in on a Friday. So next, you know, when we talk about traveling around the region, these are going to be small for the people in the room. The pictures that, as you saw, Bailey, Mide, and Green. Rich spoke at the CADCOM IP event in May. You see myself and one of the folks from DCD. We were chosen to present at the One HR conference on building relationships and why that's so important. We have Mr. Manning at the Always You event. We got an ARC project that Faith has worked on, and hopefully in the process of getting funding in the future. I was just volunteering at the Pittsburgh Promise career event last week. We're basically talking to students about what do they want to do after college? What do they want to do after high school? Resume review, interviewing. You know, we absolutely see the need to be involved in the workforce here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, because this is the talent pipeline that's going to keep our businesses here, keep our residents here. You also see up in the upper right-hand corner, there was a great data center event that Fayette hosted at Penn State campus to talk about what are data centers going to look like for the region. Again, your Harrisburg trip, and then a very small picture of Heartland as I get to talk about the larger picture of Heartland, where the Mine event was DJ's favorite of the last 2 months. This was probably my favorite visit I've done in a long time. So Heartland Fabrication, it was a 2025 tour that we did in May. It's in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, and obviously Fayette County. They do barge construction and fabrication. So agriculture barges, they do steel and coating. And what we were there to talk about was workforce needs. Their welding school. They have an amazing welding school in which they have 3 different shifts, and they're training students for welding. They have the importance of rivers and the ability to take these items down the river, and as well as the utilization of robotics. So I'll be working with them on some Build Back Better grant items and such. And in the top corner is a video, if you would not mind clicking on that. Is elegant as my words are, it does not absolutely show how neat this was. This was like how it's made episode that we got to attend, wore a hard hat, walked through steel. It was amazing.
Big hearing aid companies don't want you to know about this revolutionary hearing aid. More than 500,000 people have already.
Has so many views.
Right down to yourself in the box. Just about to. We lost. Everybody. This is the fatigue.
This is just it. I'm just kidding. You guys,
it was they were dying. It was just fine. Already. What
that's why that's so many people.
Yes, and then got to but usually
So what happens after that? So they want to end forever. So another barge comes up, it connects to that. They tie it off. A person jumps off onto the other side of the barge that they've connected, and then they push it off into kind of a parking location. So these barges carry grain. So they're agricultural barges. And again, when you think about everything going on in the world and how things are happening, having a very diverse way to deliver food is a very important thing, especially for us here with our river location, et cetera. But anywhere that you would like us to come out and visit, learn about your businesses, talk about workforce challenges, how we can help in any way, shape, or form, please let me know. And the other piece I just wanted to talk a little bit about very quickly was the NFL draft. We had NFL visit Pittsburgh, the Steelers. They hosted a welcome event about 2 weeks ago. Rich was at this, and it was kind of a welcome event for the 165 local businesses selected to participate in the draft source. Just a reminder to how great this region is. We had the largest number of applicants ever for an NFL draft. So 1,800 applicants. And so here's what's great also is that even if they weren't selected now, they will still have an opportunity to keep applying and be connected to all the different resources in the region. So if this is any indication of how busy and important this draft is going to be, I would say it's a great start. So any questions for me?
Yeah, Jen, I had one. Going back to the Office of Transformation Opportunity Visit, they're on the Harrisburg.
They are.
So, I would personally, as a elected county commissioner, would like to have an opportunity as our planning directors did as well. So that's just me speaking. Or if we can put it in our fall trip or it's
great.
While we go out there, they don't necessarily have to make a trip out here, but maybe Chuck, I saw him online and work that and it was magic. But
would you prefer to see them before fall trip? We could use the virtual at BB.
I don't know. I just know we've talked about this, like permitting, site selection, acquisition dollars. I think sometimes county commissioners are on a need to know basis. And our planning directors feel like that occasionally. So any visit with them to just have a enhanced conversation around that stuff would be awesome.
I'll work with you all to set something up and get something on the calendar. The other thing that you'll see from me probably an email tomorrow, just that Rich had mentioned about the president's visit the day before. We're going to close something here with USDA's new state director. And so you'll see an invite if your schedule's allowed to just talk about your counties, what you might need from a USDA perspective. You'll see that email probably later this evening from me, but 14th, 1 o'clock here at SPC offices. So thank you so much, y'all.
Any additional questions for Jennifer? All right, not hearing any.
Commissioner, this is Jonna. I do have a quick question for Jennifer. Jen, I look forward every year to the Fancy Food Report. Can you tell us, do we have any local companies up in New York? I know we usually do.
Yes, you have, I believe, 5 local companies, and we were able to usually can only send 3 because of some additional prep funds that we had. We were able to send an additional 2. I will email you who they are. I think I'll get that for you by the end of this meeting. I will shoot you an email. I want to say, I think it's Mancini's, it's Cilantro Yahoo, and I cannot think of the other 3, but I'll get that for you. But yes, we have 5 billing.
Excellent.
Thank you. You'll see pictures in August.
Thank you for bringing up that question. I'm hungry, so we're going to move along to our executive director of our meeting schedule on 25-26.
Rich, okay, two quick things on the NFL draft. What they said, I think they had 165 that showed up at that meeting last week, and according to what happened in Green Bay, about 40 of them got 40 of that ones in Green Bay got contracts. And the fact that they have guaranteed that all the contracts will be let by the 10 county, that they have to have a business that is located in the 10 county region, gives us obviously great opportunity. So stay tuned for your folks there. And then to Commissioner, the first meeting they wanted about the operation of transformation was with the planning directors. And I think if I remember, Jen, they did say they wanted the next meeting was going to be with the elected officials. So to your point, Pat, I think there's good discussion to be had in general that'll try to get that set up. What I'm bringing before you is this meeting schedule. And no big changes. We've been meeting the fourth Monday of every even numbered month for the past couple of years. And our proposal is to keep it the same for next year. Every month it'll be the fourth even numbered meeting, except for December when we run into the holidays. So I would ask, you turn this back to you, but that's what we have on the dock.
More or less status quo moving forward on the meeting schedule. They are in your packet. So looking for a motion and an adoption on the meeting schedule for 2025, 2026 at this option. Vince, do I have a second? Second, Dan. Give Dan one here.
Yeah.
Spoke up, but
Cool.
Get to that.
I'm just kidding. Any questions on the meeting schedule? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything under other business before the board? Not hearing any. Just a reminder, our next meeting will be August 25th. As always, go out in a timely fashion at 4:00. Of course, we'll have the corporation meeting at 3:00, and I'm not sure if we're going to have a regional one or two, but
Sir.
Yeah.
right. Well, August 25th. All right. Then let's adjourn.
Thank you.
If we have some.
Don't help.
Of a second.
I would change.
Then all those in favor say aye. Have a good evening, everyone. Stay cool.